The debate stage is getting set ahead on Face the State. The two vice presidential nominees are getting ready to go head to head for the very first time. Next, our debate expert is weighing in on who has the upper hand and what's at stake for both campaigns. Plus,
this is a big one. I mean, we always talk about this being a really important election, but this is a really important election.
a vital election for Ohio. Coming up, a look at the major issues and the balance of power that's expected to drive a large turnout at the polls. And the former president claiming migrants in Springfield are creating a rise in crime, while state officials say the opposite. Ahead, we are looking into the new crime data to see what the numbers are really saying.
The way I see the debate is very simple. It's an opportunity where for 90 minutes, Governor Walz and I are going to debate the issues that matter to the American people.
That vice presidential debate is now just 2 days away. It will be the first debate between Ohio's U.S. Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And it's also likely to be the one and only debate between the two. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Angela Ann. Doug has the day off. Now, Tuesday's VP debate could be the final face-off between the two campaigns before Election Day. So, what can we expect to play out on the national stage? Today, we have the director of debate from the University of Michigan joining us, Aaron Call. Thank you for being here, Aaron. You have provided so much analysis for every presidential and vice presidential debate since 2012. You've also attended every presidential debate since 2016. So certainly we welcome your expertise with us today.
It's great to be back with you.
First question for you, Aaron. Let me ask you, what are you looking for in this debate, given what you have seen over the years?
Yeah, I think the contrast between the two candidates, Vance and Walz, is going to be fascinating, just like it was at the presidential level. Aside from military service, they just have such different backgrounds and experiences. And so kind of getting to see them on stage for 90 minutes, talking about their own biographies and accomplishments and kind of visions for the future, while at the same time acting as proxy surrogates for Trump and Harris at the top of the ticket. It's a lot to do, a short amount of time. You alluded to this may be the last debate in this political cycle, which is 40 days left. So a little added importance to this, given could be the opportunity for the two candidates to make closing arguments for their campaign as early voting ramps up in some really crucial battleground states.
Do you think we'll see anything similar or perhaps different compared to what we saw with the Harris-Trump debate just a few weeks ago?
You know, one of the main takeaways from that debate was Kamala Harris's ability to get under the skin of Donald Trump, kind of take him off message, focus, and, talk about crowd sizes, the 2020 election, as opposed to a lot of issues there where the Republican ticket has the advantage, the economy, inflation, immigration. I don't think we're going to see that this time. J.D. Vance is an excellent debater, looking back to his debates against Tim Ryan in 2022, and he's not going to, take that bait. He's going to be, I think, very laser-like, disciplined, focused, and go after the Harris-Walz ticket on, claiming it's too liberal, talking about some of Kamala Harris's policy position flip-flops in the last 5 years, going to paint them as out of touch. And so some of the kind of distractions and issues that Trump had trouble with, I don't think is going to happen this time. So it'll be a little more substantive and issue-based, which could play to his advantage.
And so let's dive into that a little bit more here, Aaron, because you talk about the two candidates likely going to attack each other in some form. What do you think will be the focus of those attacks?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen since the rollout of Tim Walz kind of two things: the military service, the fact that he was in the National Guard for many years, enlisted, but he kind of got out at an inconvenient time, decided to run for Congress right as he was potentially going to get sent to Iraq. And J.D. Vance has made a big issue of that on the campaign trail. So I think that's one. And then there was a DUI that Walz was involved with many years ago that kind of truthfulness of his campaign, how they handled the aftermath of that. So those two things. It hasn't done much so far, and Walz's favorables remain much higher than Vance, and so that's one particular strength he has going into this. And so there'll be a little of that on stage, but I really think the issues, economy, immigration, inflation, those ones where Vance and the Republicans have the advantage of polling. I think everyone would like to see that debate there, especially moderate independent voters. They want a debate on the issues. How can the two campaigns help their lives every day, bring down prices? And so it may see a little ad hominem attacks, but I think mostly the policy focus in the 90-minute debate.
We have read that the two sides have been preparing for this debate using stand-ins, if you will, to, kind of make sure that they are quick with their jabs, quick with, their comebacks. Who do you really think has the upper hand in Tuesday night?
I think J.D. Vance has a slight upper hand. I mean, the expectations don't favor him. He's underwater in his unfavorables. Donald Trump didn't do very well in September, so he doesn't have a lot of momentum going in there. And the Harris-Walz campaign has been helped a little bit in the polls nationally in the battleground states since that debate. So he's got more at stake. He's got more to do, but I just think he's a better prepared debater. Seeing his, contrasting when I reviewed all the footage, he's so familiar. He does all these talk shows, even with unfavorable audiences. So he's more experienced, more polished. And so I do think that he'll do better, especially in contrast. But the preparation is excellent. And that's something that Donald Trump didn't do. He'd like to be more informal, just kind of go off the cuff, didn't take it seriously. And I think it's part of the reason he did as well last time, where J.D. Vance and Walz as well, they're both putting a tremendous amount of time in it. And those things help, the stand-ins, the moderators, and so that'll help them both and probably have an overall better debate because of it.
How much do you think this debate will then have a ripple effect in the next 6 weeks until Election Day when it comes to fundraising, perhaps polling, enthusiasm, undecided voters even?
Yeah, I think fundraising may be the biggest one after the debate in Philadelphia. I think the Kamala Harris, the Walz campaign raised about $50 million right after it. So if one of the two candidates has a good performance, that's going to help with that, which is essential for advertisements in those key 7 battleground states with only 40 days left in the election. The other things I'm not sure is much of a big impact. The presidential debates have a marginal impact. So the vice presidential selections and debates even less. People are pretty dug in. There is a very small swath of those that are going to be still undecided, that if they live in battleground states, it could matter. But what they see in a 90-minute vice presidential debate probably won't change their vote. It'll just help set the media narrative for the last weeks of the campaign and help with fundraising to the margin. Could be the last closing argument if there's no more presidential debates. But tens of millions of people will watch it. No other event between now and Election Day will have that big of impact on the race, and that's why they're spending so much time preparing for it.
For sure. So I guess then it's hard to say what Vance or Walz really need to do to be seen as the winner. Like, what would they really have to shine with?
Yeah, it's so tough to pull the winner, in the aftermath, because people kind of go in mostly to cheer for their own candidate, although it was very clear that Harris, everyone thought, did better. And so there's going to be a few key exchanges over important issues during the debate. You want to make sure you're on the right side of those. Think a few steps ahead of how you want those to end, because those are the exchanges that are going to be picked up on social media, replayed over and over, really inform the media cycles after the debate, what everyone's talking about. So, prepare your best for that. Come with a few zingers, which both of them have deployed in previous debates, and just try to get on the right side of that and get that issue everyone's talking about at the end. And also, it's just going to be natural that the performance will be compared to Trump and Harris, and so making sure that that changes a little bit and get some really good, authentic, well-timed lines that can be repeated over and over and really break through to people that may not even be watching the debate live or normally pay attention to politics, but could still vote in the election.
Aaron, before I let you go, I'm going to give you a sidebar question here because a lot of people do want to see another debate between Trump and Harris. And some people are saying, the excuse that early voting already started, it's too close, is just another reason for Trump, who may not want to be back on the debate stage. But there is some validity to that as well. What do you think, given the fact that we have seen debates in the past with presidential candidates inside this window close to Election Day?
Yeah, I hope that there's another debate. It's been, I think, since 1980, where there's only been one debate between the two nominees in the cycle. I think that'd be too bad. A proximity of a debate in October, closer to actual election day, gives a great opportunity for the candidates to make a closing statement. So, with Donald Trump, you never know. It may be a negotiation. He'd prefer the debate being on Fox than CNN or another network. And as polls may change, if Harris Walz open up a little bit of a lead, that gives him an incentive to do another debate because 70 million people watched the first one. It's one of the few things that could actually move the needle, change the trajectory into election day. And so I wouldn't be confident that it's not going to happen. But the vice presidential candidates have to just go into it, the attitude, this is going to be the last debate. We have to make our closing arguments. But it wouldn't surprise me in a month or so to have one final presidential debate that'll be the biggest of them all and could be the most consequential for a very close and important election that's coming up in November.
Maybe that final appeal to those undecided voters, perhaps, right, Aaron?
Yes, I mean there's thousands or tens of thousands of votes in a handful of states, and so any little thing could move the needle. And making a closing persuasive case about vision for the future, accomplishments, the debate, presidential debates are the perfect opportunity to do so to this very important demographic of voters.
What do you think tune-in will be like Tuesday night? Do you think a lot of people will tune in, or will they say, "Oh, it's just the VP race, so we're good"?
No, I think 40 to 50 million is what I would predict. That was kind of in the ballpark of the Pence-Harris one. We've seen big ones. The Biden and Palin got 60, 70 million. And so it probably won't reach the presidential level, but nothing else. No rallies, interviews will command anywhere near that.
Thank you so much. University of Michigan's Director of Debate, Aaron Call. We appreciate you being here and taking the time to talk with us.
Anytime.
Thank you. And you can also watch that vice presidential debate right here on 10 TV. It begins at 9 o'clock Tuesday night. It will be moderated by CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan. Then stick with your election news leader for 10 TV News at 11 for those key takeaways from that vice presidential debate stage. Well, it has been a major talking point since the presidential debate, Haitian immigrants in Springfield. Still ahead, we are digging deeper into crime in that city after former President Donald Trump claims the migrants are causing a spike in crime. We'll show you what the real data is showing up next. And getting the youth to the polls, coming up how groups are trying to energize and educate the youth to vote.
This is a little beautiful town. No crime, no problem. 32,000 illegal immigrants come into the town.
Former President Donald Trump is continuing to talk Springfield as he campaigns across the country. Trump first brought the city into the spotlight while on the debate stage more than 2 weeks ago. And that's when he shared false claims that Haitian immigrants were eating pets. Well, now Trump is blaming Haitians for an increase in crime, something Ohio's Department of Public Safety director said just last week on Face the State is not true.
The Haitian community that's here, they're not criminals. And if you ask, we haven't seen a spike in crime since the Haitians came to Springfield.
10 TV's Colin Dorsey got his hands on crime statistics in the city from the last 3 years. He's in Springfield revealing what he found.
Former President Donald Trump has claimed that crime in Springfield has skyrocketed due to the influx of Haitian immigrants in recent years. I have a look at the city's crime numbers, and while they don't show a significant increase, they do show a trend upwards.
We're starting to become a big city.
The topic of Springfield's rapid growth, along with the city's place in the national spotlight, dominated Tuesday night's city commissioners meeting. Right now, the city of Springfield estimates 12 to 15,000 Haitian immigrants live in the city.
Can you imagine you have this small little community, all of a sudden you have 20,000 illegals in your community. Nobody knows where they come from.
Former President Donald Trump continues to inflate the numbers of Haitian immigrants in Springfield. Last week in New York, saying it was as many as 30,000. As we've previously reported, Governor Mike DeWine and the city have said the immigrants are legal and they're here under protected status. The former president also claims it has caused a dramatic increase in crime. So let's look at the numbers. The National Incident-Based Reporting System determines an area's crime experience by index crimes, or a combination of crimes like murder, rape, and robbery. In 2021, the city saw about 3,106 of those crimes. It increased to more than 3,400 in 2022, and last year it was at 3,578. Year over year, these crimes increased by nearly 11% between 2021 and 2022. It slowed between 22 and 23, increasing by 3.8%.
There are growing pains. That is undeniable. Being thrust into the spotlight, as we have been in recent days, has only compounded our situation.
The biggest concern has been over violent crime. These numbers don't paint a picture of a large increase in that. The rates of murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault have stayed relatively the same, with a slight increase. What has increased are the numbers of theft crimes like shoplifting and motor vehicle theft. What we don't know is who is committing the crimes. These don't break them down by demographic. In Springfield, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
All right, Colin, thank you. Now, one area the Springfield community does need help in is health care. Governor Mike DeWine says the growth of Springfield has placed strains on the city's health care system. And that's why now the state is opening a mobile clinic to make care more accessible. Inside, there are 2 physician rooms for people who can get vaccinations and other basic health care needs. The state is also supplying nurses. The governor says many of the migrants have never had adequate health care and are not up to date on their vaccines. Right now, there is about a 2-month wait for vaccinations, but Governor DeWine says he's hoping the mobile unit will shorten that wait to just 2 weeks.
Will benefit all the citizens of Clark County, all the citizens of Springfield, whether they're Haitian or whether they have lived here all their lives. This wait time that the health department is experiencing here, which is just one indication of the strain on the primary health care system.
As for an update on the recent bomb threats in Springfield, DeWine says he feels things are now calming down. There are still some threats coming in, but not at the level as the past few weeks. You can find more of our past coverage from Springfield on our website, including a verify on those false claims made about the city. You can also find this article with information from local officials on 10tv.com/verify. Well, Election Day is only 37 days away. That is why several organizations are now trying to help young voters get registered. Recently, the League of Women Voters visited Columbus State and Capital University to educate and register students. Plus, One Court is also educating young people on how to vote. 10 TV's Tara Jabor looks into the growing efforts to encourage the youth to get out and vote.
Several organizations here in Central Ohio are encouraging young people to get involved in this election. One local court is educating its residents on how to vote and the importance of voting. The Juvenile Intervention Center is where youth who are accused of a crime wait for trial. The people who work at the center want to make a change in the young people's lives that they come in contact with.
One of the most important things to us within the courts is to release the youth back into the community better than how we found them.
The center is partnering with Black Men Vote to educate young people on voting rights, and if they want, sign them up to vote.
Oftentimes, when you're young, you're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about, you don't care who the president is or the judges or anything, things of that nature. And you look at these people actually affect your life.
I asked the question, do you know if a felon can vote? And their immediate answer was no. And I was like, but in Ohio, that's not actually true.
League of Women Voters is also trying to get young people to vote. The organization is on a 20-campus bus tour to college campuses all across Ohio.
We want to make sure that college students become lifelong voters and civic leaders. And the first step is making sure that they're registered. A lot of times students change addresses and don't even realize they need to update their voter registration.
Miller says it's an opportunity for them to give students neutral, nonpartisan information about why voting is so important. They help students register to vote, among other things.
Have the right polling location, that they know all the deadlines, that they've made a voting plan based on the most up-to-date voting laws.
And October 7th is the last day to register to vote in Ohio. Reporting in Columbus, Tara Jabor, 10 TV News.
Tara, thank you. Now, voter turnout in Ohio this year is expected to be large, and it's not just because of the presidential race. In just 2 minutes, we are breaking down the important decisions you'll have to make this November and the one that's been flying under the radar.
This is an incredibly consequential race that almost nobody's thinking about.
As the election quickly approaches, voter turnout in Ohio is expected to be high. Right now, the Franklin County Board of Elections says it's nearing a record amount of registered voters as we sit at around 896,000 registrations. And the county has never had more than 900,000. Recently, I spoke with political expert David Niven, who says Ohio could see a large voter turnout this November. And he says that's because of not only the presidential race, but Ohio is also weighing in on critical decisions such as Issue 1, the Senate race, and 3 Ohio Supreme Court seats.
You're talking about Ohioans potentially deciding who controls the U.S. Senate. You're certainly talking about Ohioans deciding who controls the state Supreme Court. You're talking about Ohioans deciding how district lines will be drawn, potentially for generations, whether the districts will be drawn by regular people or by politicians. This is a big one. I mean, we always talk about this being a really important election, but this is a really important election.
All right, so let's break down why these 3 decisions are so important. You heard political science professor David Niven say Ohio could decide who will control the U.S. Senate. That's because right now Democrats hold a 51 to 49 seat majority. But the Democratic senator from West Virginia is leaving his seat and not running for re-election. Niven says a Republican will likely win that seat, bringing the Senate control to a 50-50 tie. Meanwhile, Senator Jon Tester from Montana and Ohio's Senator Sherrod Brown are both Democrats up for re-election, and both are expected to be a close race in their home states. If either one loses, Republicans would take control of the Senate. But if both Democrats win, that tie-breaking vote then goes to whoever wins the White House.
Senator Jon Tester, very much like Sherrod Brown, very well known, very well established, but he's running against the tide as a Democrat in a Republican state. But we're talking about a race in Ohio that could very well itself be a 50-50 race, where Sherrod Brown or Bernie Moreno could win this by a very tight margin.
Niven also says Ohio voters this November could decide which side controls the state Supreme Court, and that's because there are 3 justice seats on the ballot. So follow along here. Right now, the court is a 4-3 Republican majority. 2 Democrats are up for re-election, and 1 Republican seat will be open since the current justice is now campaigning against a current Democratic justice's seat. Now, if the Republicans win all 3, then the Ohio Supreme Court would grow to a 6-1 majority. But if Democrats win all 3, they would then hold a slim majority of 4-3.
This is an incredibly consequential race that almost nobody's thinking about because, it doesn't get the spotlight the way, the more famous races do. But we're talking about basically whether the legislature can do whatever it wants or whether the legislature is going to have to behave and follow the Ohio Constitution.
So the final major decision for Ohio voters is this, Issue 1. If it passes, it would put the political map-making process in the hands of citizens instead of politicians. Issue 1 would create a 15-member commission that is split evenly among Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Then the public will have several opportunities to weigh in on the proposed maps. While the lawmakers against Issue 1 say that would require gerrymandering, Niven says Issue 1 would do the exact opposite.
Well, the bottom line is Issue 1 will ban gerrymandering. Issue 1 will ban any party from drawing the lines to benefit itself. And that's really the essence of what gerrymandering is.
All right, there you have it. A lot to pay attention to as we get closer to the November election. We've made it really easy to find everything you need to know. Just text the word VOTE to 614-460-3345. We'll send you a link right to your phone with all of these stories and a list of the important dates and deadlines for you to vote. Thanks for joining me for Face the State this week. I'm Angela Ann. We'll see you again next Sunday at 11:30.